That has to happen. And my power rankings are brought to you by GNC Amp-Waybiolic Protein, proven to get you 30% stronger in just 8 weeks. Get it at GNC. Before I get started with my power rankings, she is the lovely Michelle Smallman. He is...
What are you going to do today? Let's hear this
the
one.
disappointed Evan Cohen.
That's fair.
And I am the resident Super Bowl champ, Chris Caney, and these are my power rankings. So, this week's power rankings are the top 5 teams that helped their quarterback the most this offseason. So that includes free agency, that includes the NFL draft. Now that we're on this side of the draft, it's good to be a little bit introspective, take inventory on what we got going on around the National Football League, see what quarterbacks are in good shape to put up monster campaigns in 2025. So everybody ready?
Ready.
Yeah.
All right, buckle in. Here we go. Before we even get to number 5, though, got to give a shout out to the LA Chargers as an honorable mention. They did work this offseason for their guy, Justin Herbert. What did they need to get done with Jim Harbaugh as the head coach? They needed to rebuild their running game, and they did so by signing Najee Harris in free agency. Remember, say what you want about Najee Harris. This guy has been a 1,000-yard running back every season he's been in the NFL. 4 years running, hasn't missed a game. So reliable, productive, sounds like a Jim Harbaugh kind of guy. And guess what? They also added Amarion Hampton, running back from North Carolina, 1,500 yards rushing each of the last 2 years in the FBS level. One of 2 players to do that. Outstanding young running back. Didn't get a lot of the pub because of Ashton Genty, but he's a first rounder no matter what draft he's in. So you added those 2 bell cow running backs, but then you got a monster of a man in Mekhi Becton who comes over from the Philadelphia Eagles to slide in at right guard to fortify that offensive line. Remember, they added Joe Alt last year with a top 5 pick at right tackle, and so now you have Mekhi Becton at right guard. Think about how big the right side of that LA Chargers offensive line is. Absolutely incredible. So I wanted to give a shout out to them because they did work, but they did not make my top 5.
Oh.
So, without further ado, let's get into the top 5.
Number 5.
Go Pack Go! The Green Bay Packers. They drafted an offensive player in the first round, who's Matthew Golden, wide receiver, for the first time since 2002. But they didn't stop there. Their first 3 picks in the 2025 NFL Draft were on the offensive side of the ball. They drafted Anthony Belton in the second round and drafted wide receiver Savion Williams out of TCU in the third round. He goes about 6'4", 220 pounds. They got a couple of additions on the offensive line, but the most noteworthy is adding Aaron Banks from the San Francisco 49ers, having him slide in at that left guard spot, fortify that left side of the offensive line. I thought that was an outstanding get. In a pivotal year for quarterback Jordan Love, the organization has given him all the ammo he needs to succeed.
You know, I love that Matthew Golden pick specifically. I love that they continue to add young weapons to this Packers offense. We talked about it on Friday. All of their wideouts and a lot of their pieces are 25 and younger. Mm-hmm. Jordan Love is the elder statesman at 26 years old. So this group hopefully is going to grow together.
No doubt about it. Next.
Number 4.
The New England Patriots. See, a little bit of positive news for you today, Evan. All-star coaching staff under head coach Mike Vrabel with Josh McDaniels as the OC, Doug Marrone as the offensive line coach, Ben McAdoo as the offensive assistant, and Thomas Brown, interim head coach from the Chicago Bears last year. And that's just on the offensive side of the ball. They added vets in the wide receiver room and along the offensive line. They got Garrett Bradbury from the Minnesota Vikings, Morgan Moses from the New York Jets. Then they also traded for Stephon Diggs, and they added Matt Collins in free agency. And with their top 2 draft picks, they added left tackle Will Campbell out of LSU and lead running back Travion Henderson from the Ohio State University. I love what the New England Patriots have done around Drake May. I think he is going to be set up for a monster sophomore campaign.
Totally agree. I think that they should be the second-place team in the AFC East.
Yes.
And I think just simply adding Mike Vrabel, even if you didn't add all of those other guys, is a huge win as a former coach who's been to an AFC title game, one of the better coaches in the league. Great offseason for the Patriots.
I mean, Ev, you got 4 former head coaches on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah. I mean, tremendous what they've done. And that's I love it because it means the head coach is not threatened.
No.
He doesn't worry about losing his job because, in theory, Robert
None of
Kraft,
those guys are getting other jobs.
Well, but Robert Kraft has in-house replacements if he didn't like them. He's not worried about that. Vrabel's there for the long haul.
Yeah. Next.
Number 3.
The Jacksonville Jaguars. Listen, you can't get the best playmaker in the draft and not be on the list. The Jags took a huge swing on the talent that is Travis Hunter, which in effect is doubling down on the potential of Trevor Lawrence. The team also added De'Ami Brown, wide receiver from the Washington Commanders, to go along with their featured wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr., who went over 1,000 yards in his rookie campaign. Jacksonville signed 2 starting interior offensive linemen, and to top it all off, the organization hired Liam Cohen, the offensive mind off of the Sean McVay coaching tree that led the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a top 5 offense in yards and points in 2024. Trevor Lawrence in 2025 is on the all no excuses team. It's time to put up or shut up for T-Law in Jayville.
Could not agree more. They're putting weapons around him. Now he's on another head coach in Liam Cohen. Urban Meyer, okay, that was a disaster. Maybe we want to sign that to him. But then you get a Super Bowl winning coach in Doug Peterson. If it doesn't work out for Trevor Lawrence with this regime and as they continue to add talent around him, I'll be pretty surprised. He's getting put in a position to have success.
No doubt about it. There's no question that Trevor Lawrence has got a ball. He's got to live up to the promise of being the number 1 overall pick from the 2021 draft. We can't keep calling him the Prince if he keeps coming up small. To recap, these are the Chris Candy Power Rankings, top 5 teams that helped their quarterback the most this offseason. All right, check it into number 2.
Number 2.
The Washington Commanders. They traded the farm for left tackle Laramie Tunsil. They traded for wide receiver Deebo Samuel, and they drafted offensive tackle Josh Connolly Jr. from Oregon in the first round. Remember, Jaden Daniels was the most contacted quarterback in football last year. He was also the team's leading rusher, which ain't ideal for your quarterback. Maybe the most important thing is to be able to get playmakers around him to take some of the heavy lifting off of him, but also an offensive line that can establish the line of scrimmage so you can get more mileage out of your running game with Brian Robinson Jr. and company. So I love the approach that the Washington Commanders had. Maybe the most important addition that the team had this offseason, though, is retaining offensive coordinator Cliff Kingsbury, who developed chemistry quickly with rookie phenom Jaden Daniels. They were able to ride that to the conference championship game. So I absolutely love what the Washington Commanders did. They took on veteran players with big salaries that teams wanted to dump, but guys that still can ball, guys that will make Jaden Daniels' life a lot easier in the district.
I love the idea that you have a megastar quarterback in Jaden Daniels. I would bet many people are going to go to ESPN and bet on him to win the MVP of the National Football League this year. And that you go and make that huge trade for Tunsil and you don't sit there. You say, okay, cool. Now we got one. Let's go get another and use a first-round pick and just keep going to protect that man because he is your franchise. Packers, Patriots, Jaguars, Commanders. I am going to write in who I think you have number 1 on my sheet of paper right now, and I don't know if I'm right because I haven't seen the list.
Let me see it.
They can see it, Evan, on TV.
Oh, well, but you can't. Oh, my God. You can't.
I can see it on the return on TV. And
all right,
and
I
you
tried
happen to
something
be
that
right.
didn't
There
work.
can only be one number 1.
Number 1.
The Chicago Bears. They got the belle of the ball, the apple of every team's eye, at least teams that had a head coaching vacancy. They got offensive coordinator Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions to be their next head coach. And he brought with him an awesome coaching staff, offensive coordinator Declan Doyle, Antoine Randall Ells, wide receivers coach, JT Barrett as the quarterbacks coach, Eric Bieniemy as the running backs coach, and Press Taylor as the passing game coordinator. We know Press Taylor, the connective tissue with Sean McVay. On the field, they traded for 2 offensive linemen. They signed one of the best centers in the league in Drew Dahlman in free agency. They drafted an offensive tackle in the second round, and they took offensive weapons with their first 2 picks, Colston Loveland out of Michigan, top 10, and then, of course, they took Luther Burden III out of Missouri in Smalls. I know you love him. This guy is absolutely electric with the football in his hands. But if you look at the weapons that the Chicago Bears have now put around Caleb Williams, the wide receiving core featuring Rome Odunze, featuring Luther Burden, featuring DJ Moore. Then you have the tight ends with Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. Then you got the running backs with DeAndre Swift and Roshan Johnson, and a completely rebuilt offensive line with 3 new starters. Yeah, Caleb Williams is the captain of the all no excuses team going into 2025.
Even in year 2.
Even in year 2.
Let's continue this because that's an interesting conversation. And as we discussed with Carmen and Yurko on ESPN 1000 last week when CC and I were on there, No excuses for the Bears fans. Everything you asked for, you got. You got Ben Johnson. Loveland was the guy that they wanted, right? Like Burden in the second round, as CC mentioned. We got to continue this conversation. Do want to remind people with ESPN Bet, Small's going to tell everybody about it. We have an unsportsmanlike prop bet up right now. We have the bet up right now.
We have the parlay, yeah.
Yeah, the parlay up. What did I say? Prop bet?
You said prop
parlay.
bet.
Okay.
Parlay,
so
yeah.
we have it up right now with unsportsmanlike. So here's what we've got. We've got Giannis tonight over 32.5 points. We've got Milwaukee and Indiana over 221.5, and we've got Orlando and Boston over 199.5. We're going up against Joe and Q, noon until 3 Eastern time. Let's win this. Giannis over. I already put my money in on this. Giannis over on Milwaukee, Indiana, over on Orlando and Boston. Join us. Unsportsmanlike. It's right there. I just went to the app. It's literally. What do you
Nothing.
Well, you got to tell me what the look is for.
We're good.
Which part don't you like? Is it mine again?
Which was yours?
I'm starting to second guess mine a little bit.
I don't know whose is who. I know I had Giannis.
The over on the Milwaukee Indiana game.
Because you think it could be an Indiana closeout and then Milwaukee lower?
I could think it'd be an Indiana blowout.
Like last night.
Cowboys Nation, buckle up. There's talk inside the building that Dallas might be eyeing a trade, Dak Prescott, for Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, you heard that right. Shedeur Sanders, Coach Prime's son, dropped all the way to the 5th round, and now the Cowboys might just make the boldest move we've seen in years. Could this be the end of the Dak Prescott era? Could Shedeur be the future in Big D? This is risky, it's wild, but it might be exactly what we need. I'm breaking down everything in this video, why the Cowboys are looking at Shedeur, what a potential trade could look like, and what it means for the future of the franchise. This is Dallas Cowboys Today, made by fans for fans. Hit that like, smash the subscribe button, and let's dive in. First off, how the heck did Shedeur Sanders fall to day 3 of the NFL Draft? 3,230 passing yards, 27 TDs, only 3 picks, 69% completion. Took more sacks than any QB in the country and still balled out. He had first-round buzz all year, but then came the late-season injury, questions about his leadership style, and Colorado's O-line that got him sacked nearly 50 times. Let's be real, this is a gift for any team willing to take a chance. And if the Cowboys are smart, that team should be US. Listen, I've supported Dak Prescott for years. We've been through battles with Dak. He's had solid seasons, gave us big-time moments. But here's the truth, he hasn't gotten us over the hump. 0 Super Bowl appearances. 2-5 in the playoffs. And that Packers game last year? Don't even get me started. And now he's entering the final year of his contract. Reports say he wants top 5 QB money. So I'll ask you, Cowboys fans, would you give Dak $50 million a year for 4 more years? This front office might already be leaning no. That's where Shedeur comes in. Proposal trade package from Dallas. QB Dak Prescott. WR Jalen Tolbert, solid young piece to sweeten the deal. 2026 third-round pick. In return, the Cowboys would receive QB Shedeur Sanders, CB Martin Emerson Jr., young, physical corner who can step in right away. Cleveland gets a playoff-ready QB to compete with Deshaun Watson, who hasn't exactly been lights out, and they add some future picks and talent. Dallas gets a potential franchise QB on a rookie contract, plus a CB who can rotate with Gilmore and Bland while Diggs recovers. It's bold. It's risky. But it's less risky than running it back with Dak and hoping something magically changes. If Shedeur lands in Dallas, here's how he could thrive. Quick throws to C.D. Lamb and Paris Campbell. Play action with Jake Ferguson over the middle. A solid run game with Javonte Williams, Miles Sanders, and Deuce Vaughn. And best of all, an offensive line that can actually protect him. He never had that in Colorado. Behind Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, and T.J. Bass, he might finally have time to breathe. And let's not ignore the business side. Shedeur is a walking brand. He brings attention, fans, jerseys, clicks. Jerry Jones loves that. All right, Cowboys Nation, I want to hear from you. Would you trade Dak plus a pick for Shedeur Sanders and a young cornerback? Or would you stick with the vet and run it back one more time? Me? I'm ready to take a shot. We've played it safe for too long. If we want a different result, we need a different formula. Shedeur Sanders could be the spark that lights up this franchise. Drop your thoughts in the comments, share this with other fans, and if you love the Cowboys, hit that subscribe. This is Dallas Cowboys Today, where we bleed blue and silver, baby. Let's go Cowboys!